Our game Franken-Shoe is a Vampire Survivors style top-down wave defense game. In Franken-Shoe, you play as a recently resurrected Shoe under attack from waves of grotesque monsters interspersed with bigger, tougher boss creatures. As you defeat enemies, new Shoe parts will drop, which you can swap out with your old parts to gain new abilities, cycling through attacks and mobility to survive as long as you can. Our development evolved through the course of roughly 8 stages of ideation, conversation, iteration, and implementation. The first stage was independent ideas. In this stage, we shared our first impressions in Discord. These included basic game ideas and also hypotheses such as, would it be fun to play unpacking but putting shoes away using golf mechanics? And what would it be like to play as the enemy that killed you? After thinking about ideas on our own for probably a bit too long, we had a meeting on Miro to come up with ideas as a group. Here we outlined the 3 themes we needed to incorporate: unusual aftermath, cycle of life, and shoes in places they shouldn't be, and started bouncing ideas off each other. Some of the best we came up with were: what would Cooking Mama but building a shoe play like? Would a visual novel about what a shoe is scared of be interesting? Would Binding of Isaac as a shoe be fun? Most of these ideas were scrapped, mainly because as a group we felt we could achieve a more complex mechanic than a visual novel, but ideas like the roguelite were pushed further. Using these ideas, we decided to make a Vampire Survivors style game because it felt achievable to complete in the time frame while offering different aspects to change and explore. We decided on the player being a Frankenstein-esque reconstructed shoe to fit the first 2 themes, and cycling shoe parts for new abilities to fit the final theme. Once the idea was decided, work began on the basic game systems, enemies, waves, player, and time was spent coming up with ideas for the abilities the shoe would have. This stage of development focused on the different parts of a shoe as well as different mechanics, then combining those to create interesting abilities. Often abilities would be inspired from games such as Binding of Isaac and Vampire Survivors, and asking, would it be fun to add aiming, or what if this ability had splash damage? After that, it was back to the Miro to collate the ideas as a group. Here, the best abilities could be picked, ideas could be combined if it sounded more fun, or scrapped if they were too complex or time consuming to make. With a better understanding of where we wanted to take the game, we began to allocate work. As the most experienced programmer, James took on the ability implementation after programming the game's other systems. Art was split between myself and Ariel, with Ariel taking on the sprites and animation, and myself taking the environment, obstacles, and icons. I also spent more time developing more damaging ability ideas. As we reached the end of our timeline, we had a progress report. At this point, we had a game with some abilities, enemy waves, and a controllable character. We were concerned about scope creep since the project was designed to test a single mechanic, but we were confident we could achieve what we wanted in the remaining time. Previously, we had decided that bosses in between waves would drop new abilities. However, we were worried that this would introduce new elements too slowly, so we decided to add mini-bosses in the regular waves who would drop new abilities. We were still working on new abilities and art assets for the player UI, and these would be completed in the final push. The final push involved a lot of James implementing assets and tweaking ideas to best fit the system programmed into the project. UI elements to show new abilities and swapping them with held ones was crucial at this stage, since it is the focus of the whole project. Once that was all in place, it was a matter of creating the final executable to put up on the itch page. Some things we did well as a group. Firstly, our cohesion and socialization formed quickly. This helped us to communicate ideas more easily as we understood each other better, and we could encourage each other to share ideas, feeling confident to do so in front of the group. This made it easy for us to find the ideas we liked the best and explore them to a further extent. Following that, our communication as a group was clear and comfortable. It was easy for everyone to talk about what was going well or not so well, both project related and not, and we were all quick to help each other. Another strength of our group was the quality of work produced. The 2 focuses of the production were programming and art, and as a group, we are proud of what we have made in the given time. Some things we struggled with as a group. A big issue we had was the time management. We struggled to plan group meetings, especially early on, which led to a lot of flow-on problems. One of these problems was lack of leadership. While James stepped up towards the end as the leader, we should have assigned someone to be in charge early on to keep us focused. This would have prevented unfocused meetings, the lack of meaningful goals, and work delegation, among other issues. We also struggled to make decisions as a group and often relied on individuals making the choices they thought were best without the time or ability to consult the group. This included art direction and the transformation of ability ideas into solid mechanics, wasting time when things went wrong, or leaving individuals feeling left out. Finally, we failed to create a repository or some other form of access to the project for the group. This caused us particular issues when it came to the submission, as the one member with the final project was unable to upload it due to internet troubles, causing us to have to submit after the deadline.
Hi, my name is Ariel, and my role in the project was as an artist and designer. This is my self-analysis of my overall performance. Quality-wise, I felt I did pretty well on creating an efficient and organized system that we can all understand in terms of sharing files and communication. Although Discord seemed enough, it would be better next time for me to create or ask my teammate to create a repository so we can involve more playtesting into our project. I also felt that I did my part as an artist pretty well. Even when me and Fraser used different inspirations, we still discuss enough to get a general cohesive art style that is consistent even though we work on our parts separately. If I could do something better for the next project, it would be managing my time to understand the assessment as efficient as possible. I would also try to involve myself more on the design process and playtesting side of the project.
Hello, I'm James. My roles in the group was team leader, programmer, and designer. This is my self-analysis of my overall performance in this project. For leadership, when I had identified that no one was taking the leadership role, I should have taken the initiative to take it on. However, when I realized that as a team we couldn't get the ball rolling, I took on the responsibility of delegating tasks, scheduling meetings, and making final decisions, which got everything back on track and running smoothly. One issue I had within that role was planning the project. If I had taken some more time to understand the task and what exactly needed to be done, I would have been able to manage my time as well as the group's time better and distributed tasks evenly to balance workloads. For programming, one thing I did well was planning my scripts and making object-oriented class structures that made creating new abilities and AIs efficient to produce. Although generally the planning I did for the project was positive, I did end up wasting time on unused code that didn't end up being implemented or used. Creating some goals and prioritizing tasks would have saved time and been more efficient when I was planning out my scripts.
What I, Fraser, did well. With a focus on design and art, I'm proud of the quality and quantity of ideas I was able to contribute to the game. I was able to come up with new abilities and combinations at multiple stages of development, and these were often implemented or used as inspiration for final abilities. With this, I think I adapted well over time as I initially pitched ideas for games I was familiar with, but as we moved into a direction I was unfamiliar, I was able to research and adapt my design process to match. While I would say we ended up over scope, I tried to make it a focus of our meetings to keep scope in mind. I would often remind the group what it was we needed to achieve in our submission and what would be nice to have if we had the time. Where I think I could have done better mainly comes from how I communicate design choices. It took a group member calling me out about my lack of specificity for me to fully realize how I needed to change my design communication, and I'm really grateful for them for letting me know in a kind and positive way. While I think my ideas are valuable, I should have spent more time researching games in the style we have made. I found through development that many of my ideas either needed adjustment to fit our project or occasionally would be rejected. If I had spent more time researching, I could have used my time designing more effectively. Finally, I felt most of my design potential went unused due to a lack of playtesting and difficulty development. If I had been more organized, I could have pushed for access to the project from an earlier stage so that I could apply myself more and add more to our final product. Overall, I'm excited to apply what I've learned from this project into future projects to see how I can do better.